fired from my $500,000 a year job as a software engineer working at StubHub. And this is my story. I was fired for questioning the culture and the work at the company. I found it difficult to work in StubHub's environment when I would ask for data about why the decisions were being made. I wasn't provided with documentation about why certain decisions were being made. And then I was told, well, do I need to know everything?
This is the problem. This is the problem 100% of the time. Fam, once you get past a certain threshold, you working at StubHub, dog. You're not working at the Defense Department. So, if you morally confused as to what you're doing, you're making sure that StubHub can issue tickets to people. That's your job. You are a overpaid software engineer. Real talk. Listen, man, you paying me $500,000 in any corporate environment to do anything, I'm going to shut up and do my job. My job is to get that money. My job is not to sit here talking about how difficult it ain't no difficult environment unless we working in Iraq somewhere or Afghanistan. What you talking about? $500,000? What we I'd be confused as to if any of these people was ever raised in impoverished environments or if they've ever been through struggle in their life, because the situational awareness is amazing to me. And I ain't even started to get into the video. The minute that we opened this up, and thank you guys for sending this to me. I always like to give credit to the content creators. So the link will be back down in the description, regardless of whether or not I agree with them or not. When people send me these videos and then I go ahead and throw them in the queue and then I start to react to them because I always want to just get an authentic reaction. And the first second he said, I was fired from my $500,000 job. Jeez, what? Ain't no such thing as getting fired from a $500,000 job. Let me just be very, very clear for the people inside of the chat right now and the people that's watching this video. There should never, under any circumstance, be a firing. You should never, ever get fired from a $500,000 job. Either you move on to something better, you transition, but you, under no circumstances, should never fumble the bag. Ever. Ever. Ever under any circumstances, unless you're working for the federal government and you overseeing some drone program that you don't agree with morally or ethically. That's a whole nother conversation. But we are so spoiled. Dog, this is the most spoiled. I'm sorry I'm going on this little rant, this little tangent right now, but I got to get this off my chest. We are the most spoiled people on the face of this earth. You're sitting there with your $3, $4, $5,000, depending on how he built out this laptop, MacBook Pro, talking about you got fired. Now, and I don't want to hear nothing else about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't want to hear anything else about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't want to hear that y'all ain't got the opportunities. I don't want to hear about the system. You're making a half a M a year, dog. Sheesh. Let me start this over. I got to get the full context. I'm a C student. You know what I'm saying?
I was fired from my $500,000 a year job as a software engineer working at StubHub. And this is my story. I was fired for questioning the culture and the work at the company. I found it difficult to work in StubHub's environment when I would ask for data about why the decisions were being made. I wasn't provided with documentation about why certain decisions were being made. And then I was told, well, do I need to know everything? I can't know everything that's going on at the company. The director also said I could switch teams, which is how I ended up meeting with a data team that manages the data coming into StubHub. When I met with an engineer on the team, we started discussing some of the data. And in particular, I had a question because there was something being brought up about mismatches between events. Essentially, my question was, is it possible for someone to sell a ticket, but the event is not actually happening there? And the engineer said that they didn't know. I also met with the manager of the data team, and I had several questions around how they were handling ticket data, whether or not they were using machine learning models to try to help identify scammers or fake tickets instead of relying on agents, which could provide an inconsistent customer experience. In addition to this, I asked more consumer protection questions and related to what about the event of a large fake ticket selling scheme. The manager did not answer my question. And he was like, why?
I'm not sure if you were hired to be a part of the ethics department or if you was just in there to make waves, if this is how you are at every job. I don't know what it is, but I tell people all the time that one of the things that we look for as people that hire other people, such as software engineers and developers, and any position, it doesn't matter if you're a product owner, a scrum master, a project manager, whatever it is that you are, right? One of the things that we look for is cultural fit. If you are a person that is easy to work with, because sometimes you segment off different job roles and that may not be your responsibility. So while we appreciate, we really do, we appreciate your questioning and we also appreciate your fervor and dedicating yourself to the job by making sure that you protect consumers. That is not your job. We have a separate division of people that solve for a lot of these issues. Sometimes they're a part of the UX team, sometimes they're part of a different team, but we have a separate group of people that solve for those issues. And the person or the people that you may have been asking these questions to don't know because their job is to do what this person tells them to do, or this team, their job is to do what this person tells them to do, or to solve this problem, or to make this easier, or to be a part of this project, or to be, and iterate in this space. That is not your job. And so when you make things difficult for other people, instead of spending more time and energy on the thing that we hired you for, then you create waves, you put a target on your back, and eventually they're going to put you on a pip and they're going to get you up out of there. You are at will employee in the first place. Half an M a year, and you sitting there talking about language models and machine learning on protecting. Man, man, if you don't do your job, if nobody around you and none of your friends ever told you to do your job, shut your mouth and do your job, then that's an issue. That's the bigger issue. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm on the outs here. Maybe I just come from an environment where $500,000 a year on a job was unfathomable. It was a dream. And maybe y'all standards is just higher than mine. Maybe you want some great people on with your stuff. But that is crazy to me.
Are you asking these questions? I also ask questions related to the responsibility if
And the fact that you on the internet talking about your previous employer. Let me add this in there and we're going to get to the rest of the video. The fact that you on the internet talking about your previous employer, naming them, and then making them look bad also makes you look bad for future job prospects if somebody was to go on your social media and to check to see what you was doing and to see what your sentiment is and how you operate. Because every single time, every manager that I know, the first thing that they do is they go and secretly check somebody else's social media to understand exactly who they are and if they're going to be difficult to work with, if they're going to be a cultural fit. Every single one of them makes you look bad. And this is an example of who you are. You're basically saying this is who I am. And while people may be thankful, you are going to fumble the bag. Keep your sentiment, your thoughts, how you feel to yourself and do your job. Your job is to get the paycheck, and then you can do whatever you want to do on your own time.
Seller tries to sell a ticket that they don't have, and in response the manager said, well, it's basically the seller's responsibility and it's not necessarily the company's responsibility. I wasn't the only one that had concerns over consumer protections. I attended an all hands meeting where employees were concerned about read it comments and the negative company perception. I noticed a lot of read it comments where people were complaining about being scammed. I noticed a lot of comments where people would, try to get a ticket for an event, have booked like flights and hotels, and ended up not actually getting the ticket transferred to them in time. Or StubHub tries to mediate the situation and gives them an alternate ticket, but that ticket is nowhere comparable to the ticket that the consumer actually wanted. A few days later, after I had asked questions about these consumer protection related things, I was fired from the company, again with the reason being that I had been questioning the culture and work at the company, and that I had wanted to switch teams. Me wanting to switch teams was encouraged by my manager and the director.
Lesson for the people that's watching this. All right. Take your Obama jeans and your unironed shirt and get to doing your job. Stop, crying, stop whining, stop questioning stuff. There are other people that solve for that type of thing or have confidence that the company that you're working with have that in place and that they're trying to solve for that. That ain't your job. Shut up, do your job, go get your half a M and make moves. Make moves. You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Crazy, bro.